Tamco Building Products, Joplin's hometown family company since 1944.
Hello, I'm Judy Stiles. Thank you for joining us for Candidate Connection. We're coming from Webster Hall, Corley Auditorium on the Missouri Southern Campus, and this program is brought to you by the Joplin Globe, KGCS producing, and of course our sponsorship with Tamco. We're going to begin this evening with the publisher of the Joplin Globe, Michael Beatty.
Thank you. Thanks for coming tonight, and welcome to our Candidate Connection. We've been doing this now for a few years. We find it really exciting because it gives you, the viewers, and you in the audience a chance to meet the candidates and find out what their issues are and what they're going to do to help our community. Since it's St. Patrick's Day, I think it's only appropriate. We're in the land of green and gold, don't you think? So I'm sure you're all missing your St. Patrick's Day festivities, but I'm sure we'll be out of here in time for you to go do so and have your corned beef and whatever you do on St. Patrick's Day. So I want to thank Tamco for being our sponsor. And I want to turn this over to Carol Stark because I'm sure you're tired of hearing from me. So Carol.
Welcome. Thank you all, and thank you for those who are watching this on television. I'd like to introduce tonight, we have three people who will be asking questions of our candidates. Just so you know, none of the candidates know what the questions are, and so this will all be very live. First of all, I have Wally Kennedy. He is a veteran reporter for the Joplin Globe. He's covered health and business, and he's a former education reporter. Tim Whelan, who is an executive vice president at Tamco Building Products. And we have Lisa Oligas, who is an anchor reporter for KOAM TV. I appreciate them being here. Tonight, after the candidate connection, we have in the back, we have some light refreshments. I would encourage you to stay, and you can talk to the candidates one-on-one and maybe ask them more about how they answered their questions. So, thank you so much.
Good. Thank you. And as you can see, we have 8 candidates with us this evening. A brief explanation before we get started as far as our format. We're going to have a chance at the beginning for the candidates to do opening comments and remarks, and then we will go to questions from the panelists. Our panelists are seated by the order or the seats they are seeking. We have 4 people seeking 3-year terms, the 2 seats, 2 candidates seeking a 2-year term, and 2 seeking a 1-year term. So we're going to begin with probably the easiest question of the evening, asking each candidate to introduce yourself and explain to the audience why you are seeking a position on the Joplin School Board. Start on the end.
My name is Sherrick Dermott, and I was born and raised here in Joplin. I'm a 1985 graduate of Joplin Memorial High School. That's the last graduating class of that institution. I went off to school for several years, and when I finished up college, I practiced law in Little Rock for 10 years before returning home with my family, which includes my wife and 2 children. My kids are the 4th generation of our family to attend Joplin schools, and I look forward to earning your vote this evening.
Thank you. And we're going to be playing Pass the Microphone throughout the evening, so our next candidate, please.
Hi, I'm Melissa Rogers, and just like Sherrick, I'm born and raised here in Joplin. Been here all my life. So I also went through the Joplin schools, graduate of 1984, Memorial High School, when we still had the 2 high schools. So I have 2 children who recently graduated in 2012, the year after the tornado, and then I do still currently have an 8-year-old who's within the school system at Cecil Floyd. So I'm here wanting to earn your vote tonight for school board. I feel like I have good contributions to bring to the school board, so that's me.
Okay, thank you.
I'm Mary Garter, and I want to thank you for being here. Steve and I moved to Joplin in 1990, and our 3 children graduated from Joplin High School. They were well prepared. I've spent 29 years as an educator, and I retired in 2011. For the last 5 years, I've been a substitute teacher in the Joplin schools, and I've been in every Joplin elementary school and the Early Childhood Center. I know Joplin schools, and I know Joplin kids. I also spent 5 years as the coordinator of the Adult Basic Education program, and I hired teachers, scheduled teachers, did the budget, and we even doubled the program. I realized that strong schools and prosperous businesses are mutually reinforcing. And when you have strong schools, you have an educated workforce to help those businesses. And when you have strong businesses, you have a good tax base. Strong schools, strong businesses, a vibrant community. If I am elected, I will bring my expertise as a business, as an educator, but I know that business is important, and I will try to knit the two things together to lead us forward.
Thank you.
This over. Hi, I'm Jennifer Martucci, and my professional experience includes all levels of education from preschool through a university level. I have a bachelor's degree in nutrition, and education is extremely important to me. In the community, I serve on the Joplin City Parks and Recreation Board, and I have for the last 2 years. My husband Patrick and I have been married for 25 years, and we have 4 children who either attend or have attended Joplin schools. And I am currently serving a 1-year seat on the school board, and I'm asking for your vote tonight to keep moving the district forward in the manner that we've been doing for the last year. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Lori Musser, and I've been a longtime resident of Joplin. My husband Kevin and I have been married for 34 years. We've raised 2 kids here in Joplin. They went through the Joplin schools. I also have 2 grandkids who will hopefully be attending Joplin schools very soon. I have 30 years in education. 22 of those years were spent in the Joplin School District as a teacher, a counselor, and the principal at Columbia Elementary. So I'm very proud of that. What I'm serving for, what I'm trying to go for to be elected are 3 things: pride, passion, and purpose. I'm proud of our school district. I'm proud of our community. Passionate about kids and their education, and I want to continue moving our district in the positive direction that it's going in. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Joe Brown, Joseph. I've been in Joplin for over 44 years. Attended K through 12. I was in the last Parkwood graduating class in 1985. I've had 2 children who have gone K through 12, and I have one who's a junior currently. I have 2 grandchildren who are going to be hopefully attending Joplin schools in the future. Currently, as far as work, I just try to make a difference, and that's what I'm trying to do as far as Joplin schools. I have always volunteered with all my kids through all the years, and I just want to serve the children, the parents, the teachers, the staff, and the administration, and try and make a difference for Joplin.
I'm Christopher Sloan, and I'm running for the 1-year school term. I'm the founder and pastor of Christ Community United Methodist Church here in Joplin. I've lived here in town for 26 years with that. When I was a child, I went from 1st grade through 7th grade here in Joplin, went to the old Irving Elementary. And anyway, when we moved back, I have 2 daughters, and they went through all the way through Joplin schools and did quite well, and were very successful in that. And then my wife, she has taught for 20-some years in the Joplin schools as an English teacher. My connections to the community: I'm a chaplain with the Joplin Fire Department. I'm also an officer with Newton County Rescue, and also serve on that board. I have also served on the Habitat for Humanity board years ago in town, and I've coached years and years and years of girls softball. So I hope to bring my strengths and my talents to the school board.
Good evening. I'm Carlos Haley. I'm running for the one-year seat on the school board this year. I'm a concerned parent. It's my primary focus of why I'm running. I have 2 daughters. Our oldest graduated from this high school last year, and we have a 4th grader at Stapleton Elementary. My goal is to bring to the school board some accountability, leadership, and also fiscal responsibility. I want to make sure we put priorities first, and first thing that needs to be is the students and education.
Thank you. We're going to now move to the question and answer portion. Some of you may have heard we have a timer in the audience, so each candidate will have 1 minute to answer these questions. We'll have our panelists directing them, and we will vary the order, and some of these questions will be directed just to certain groups of candidates. Lisa Olagus will begin our questions this evening, and to begin answering that, we'll start with Mr. Haley. So you'll be starting off after Lisa answers.
And this question is for all candidates. One of the biggest jobs a new school board will have will be to hire the new superintendent. Interim Superintendent Norm Ritter has recently published a 5-year strategic plan for the Joplin schools. What role do you think that plan and Dr. Ritter himself should play, if any, in the selection of the new superintendent? Mr. Haley?
Question. For me, especially being a one-year candidate, I think having Dr. Ritter help set the 5-year strategic plan should be a positive focus in what we use as the foundation to hire the next superintendent. I think without this foundation we're setting now, we would have to start over hiring a new superintendent if he does not buy into the direction we're going in. So first and foremost, I would think Dr. Ritter's experience would be necessary and needed to help guide the board in that direction of hiring the next superintendent to help guide us into our future. So someone who will put education first for all of our students.
Well, Dr. Ritter has a lot of experience, and we can depend upon that. And the 5-year goal, and typically you do want to set goals way ahead so that you can have a track record and see where you've failed and where you've done well. And so I think that looking forward, I think we need to see that that 5 years continues, and it will help in selection. If someone comes and wants to be a superintendent but doesn't see that as a goal, maybe we need to look at that. Although every superintendent's going to bring some different ideas to the table. At least I hope they would.
Well, I've served on the parent forum with Dr. Ritter, and it's the 5-year plan is a good plan. We have worked to develop that and get it to where it needs to be for the parents, the students, and the staff. And I know that there's been a lot of input into that from all areas of the district. The 5-year plan needs to continue into more of a 10-year plan and a 15-year plan. The problem we've had in the past has been that we have changed plans too often, and we need to find something and stick with it, and this is a good plan and this will work. Dr. Ritter definitely needs to be a part of the selection process, and he does have quite a bit of experience and would be a very useful asset in that selection process.
I agree with what everyone has said. Dr. Ritter has done a fantastic job, and it's because he practices humble leadership, and we need to look for that quality in whatever superintendent comes into our district. Also, any superintendent that the board looks at hiring needs to have these goals that are already established through the strategic plan in mind, and that needs to be their focus, as well as the vision and the mission that's been developed by all the stakeholders and by the current board.
What I believe Dr. Ritter's role so far has been is to set the district up for someone to come in and be successful. And through that strategic plan, we've gone at it in a very systematic way that it can be continued on after Dr. Ritter is gone, because we have that framework set up. So it's really a roadmap for success is what the strategic plan is, and it's very measurable, so we're going to be able to see how far we've come and the accomplishments we've made. And so really, as far as helping us choose somebody that has the qualities that Dr. Ritter possesses, as far as, like Lori said, humble leadership, but really I see him as setting the district up for success.
I agree with what everyone's been saying. I'm a big fan of the 5-year plan, and I certainly would think that the new superintendent would have to be in favor of that too. It's been developed with a lot of stakeholder input. It didn't just plop out of the air, and we wouldn't want to switch horses in midstream. So I think Dr. Ritter's, especially his emphasis on empowering the teachers and the principals, is a wonderful thing, and we'll want to continue in that path.
Being a part of the parent forum, I know the blood, sweat, work, and tears that have went into that 5-year plan. I like the plan because it's well-defined, it's got measurable goals, and that's exactly what our school board needs. And it also gives us a point of reference where everybody should know this is what the school board is about, this is what the school board is doing. And that's just not for, just the teachers and students, but that's for the community as well, the taxpayers, so that they know what exactly is going on. So we need that next person that comes in to have that same goal. So Dr. Ritter will be very important in helping us to make that selection. So thank you.
Lisa, I think hiring the next superintendent is probably not just one of the most important jobs that the board will have, but it is probably the most important job that we'll be facing over the next couple years. I was at a meeting in Kiwanis, and Dr. Ritter was kind enough to show up and present the plan to our group. And I've got news for everybody. I think Dr. Ritter intends to be a participant in the hiring of the next superintendent, and I think that's a good thing because I've never hired a superintendent before. So I can probably benefit from his leadership in that role. The 5-year plan, I believe, is a continuous improvement plan, and I can't imagine we would want to find a successor that did not share that continuous improvement desire. So,
Thank you. Our next question comes from Tim Whelan, and we're going to direct this one to the 2-year term candidates, correct?
Yes. And Mrs. Musser, we'll begin with you. The question, and continuing with the theme of the superintendent, what personal and professional values and qualifications are essential for the next superintendent?
As I said a minute ago, the humble leadership, I think, is at the top of my list. A person that practices humble leadership is going to seek input from all the stakeholders, from teachers, parents, community members, and it's going to be important to that person to get that input and then try to follow as much as they can. So the shared decision making, humble leadership. They need to be a good communicator so that they can communicate with everyone involved. And one thing that I think is very important is that superintendent needs to have teaching experience. They need to know what it's like, to be in those schools and be in those classrooms working with kids on a daily basis. And, at least I would like to see someone with at least maybe 5 to 10 years teaching experience. I think that's very important.
Mr. Brown.
What she said. Basically, we're pretty much on the same page. And, to add to that, I would just say the new superintendent needs to have a vision, and that vision needs to be aligned with what the board wants and what the teachers want. It's not a one-way street. They have to take feedback and be able to listen and understand and not just go out and command things. But that's about the only thing I'd have to add to what Lori had said.
Okay. Thank you. Now we go to Wally Kennedy, who is also asking a question to 2 candidates, 1-year term candidates, correct?
Okay. We'll start with you, Mr. Haley. The 2015 MAP scores for local school districts show that percentage of Joplin students scoring at proficient and advanced levels below those of Webb City and Carl Junction. Is this a concern to you? And if so, what would you do to positively affect the results?
This is an excellent question, and I'm actually glad I got it. Primary reason I'm running is I'm a concerned parent. I have a 4th grader whose education, her future, is a focus of mine. I have seen those numbers. I see that our proficient and advanced numbers are below regional districts around us. I think what we need to do is focus more on what is our next steps to improve that education. You know, if we go to certain things, meetings, and talk to people within the district, I don't think there's enough focus put on the educational priorities for our students. And I think that needs to be the number one priority, to make sure as a board, as a superintendent, as principals and teachers, we focus on what we need to improve on that puts the students first to make sure that they achieve their goals, because we are talking about their future.
You know, education is the future for children. It fulfills dreams. It's been proven the leading reason pulling people out of poverty. And if they have a goal, education will help them achieve that goal. And when we begin to slide, when we begin to fall back, it shows a warning sign to the school system that some things have to change, and we have to begin to really focus on the children and their education. And so we have to have a unity of purpose as a superintendent, a school board, principals, teachers, and all the staff to make sure that we begin to help these children to acquire their goals and their dreams. And we're going to have to work hard at that.
Thank you. For people who may have tuned in or come in a few minutes late here in the auditorium, we are featuring the candidates for the Joplin School Board who will be on the April ballot, and we're asking questions. And the next question will be from Lisa Olagus, and I believe you're addressing this to all 8 candidates. And we'll start with Mr. Dermott at the other end again this time.
Ladies and gentlemen, Bright Futures program has been dropped by several area schools. Do you think Joplin should continue to be affiliated with Bright Futures and Bright Futures USA? Why or why not?
I think that Bright Futures performed heroic services after the tornado, and we certainly appreciate what they've done to help our students. It's also my understanding that there's a couple of Bright Futures employees still within the school system, and the current board elected to pay a portion of their salaries for a few years. And so I realize that that's something that we'll be re-examining in the future, but I think it's really good to have people within the administration that are looking out for the school district to help provide those support services that maybe they don't get within the school system itself. And so it's good to have that public outreach that Bright Futures offers.
I myself appreciate all the efforts that Bright Futures has done and that they've been able to accomplish. There's children that they have helped. I don't know their exact numbers, but many children they have helped. They did make the decision to move their funds away from the school board, and I'm fine with that. But I do think we still need to have a partnership with them so that we can make sure that we benefit our students that may be in need.
I think Bright Futures has given our students a lot of help and continues to give them a lot of help. And I understand that Bright Futures wanted to move over to the Community Foundation of the Ozarks, and I think that that's fine. But I think we still need a way to funnel in and channel those services to our students. So I'm glad that we still have that partnership. I would not want to have any kind of clean break. We need that partnership, and the people that help funnel that money in can also work with other partners in the community that are trying to help meet kids' needs.
Bright Futures, since the tornado, has served a definite purpose in our district, but the services that they provided have always been provided through the schools. Our kids have always been taken care of. The principals, the teachers have made sure that Joplin kids have always had what they needed. I think as far as getting a volunteer base, I think Bright Futures has been good with that, but I do think that that's something that could be handled by the district as well. And what I would like to see as far as Bright Future goes, I think it has on some level become a distraction in the district. And so what I would like to see is us open ourselves up to all organizations in the community that have something to offer our kids and would be able to help meet the needs of Joplin Schools kids, not just a single isolated partnership.
Thank you. As we go along, Lisa, do you want to repeat the question when we do 8 in a row like this so we can, as people are watching, just tune in and say, what was the question?
The question again is that the Bright Futures program has been dropped by several area schools, some creating their own system. Do you think Joplin should continue to be affiliated with Bright Futures and Bright Futures USA? Why or why not?
Well, I'm always in favor of community and school partnerships. As the saying goes, it takes a village, and the community plays an important role in helping us to meet the needs of all of our students. Having said that, our financial resources are precious. Our budget has been bulging, and we need to look at some ways to find some money to make sure that we're providing competitive salaries both for our teachers and our staff. Having said that, we need to look at all programs, not just Bright Futures, but we need to look at all of the programs in Joplin that we're spending resources on and get some stakeholder input, get some shared decision-making going on, and decide as a group what direction we want to go in.
I'm a big proponent of Bright Futures. I serve on the Joplin High School Council, and I've seen what it has done. And I know that, as everyone said, it is a partnership. It's a partnership between an organization that is more of an umbrella over other organizations. And individuals, groups, community members, faith-based partners, and businesses that all come together to help students and help organizations within the school, the clubs, that they provide all kinds of things. It's not just money, it's time, it's talent, and treasure. So you have to have all those things, and they all help immensely. And I don't think that it would be a good thing to drop Bright Futures, because it has been an excellent resource for the school since it was started. Excuse me.
Well, I think Bright Futures started out as a very good organization, bringing in a lot of gifts to the kids that might need them, and to be able to do school well if they need shoes, if they needed something else. The problem is, I think they lost their way, to be honest. Most of the money began to going into salaries. And then I ask questions. I ask a lot of questions, and I've asked a lot of questions of teachers, and the teachers come to me and say they've turned in applications for getting a kid this or that or this, and most of them come back as we don't have the money for that. So I'm going to be honest. I think we need to relook at all of it, but I think we can put it down into the local schools where they used to do it anyway, and save some of that money, and let the schools help take care of some of the children who they are there. They know exactly what is needed within their schools and with their own kids.
I think Bright Futures helped a lot of students. What I think we need as a district is to look at what our focus needs to be, and that is more ways in which we can engage our community to not only help bridge and support our students. So whether that's Bright Futures or some other organization, we need to galvanize our whole community, not just part of our community, to make sure we're providing and meeting the needs of the students of the district. So what name you put on it, I don't think is important. It's what we provide to the kids.
Thank you. Our next question comes from Tim Whelan, and I believe you're going to ask this for the 2-year and the 1-year candidates, correct?
Yes, and we'll start with Mr. Sloan, just to mix it up a bit. What do you see as the purpose of a K through 12 education?
The purpose of the K through 12. All right, well, that leaves a lot of room. Well, it's your basic building blocks for whatever career that they're going to have. I mean, kindergarten sets the blocks for first grade. First grade sets the blocks for second. And, we have to have a progressive plan of what are these children supposed to learn in each grade. And then by the time they graduate at 12th grade, these are some of the things that they need to understand, they need to know, and are supposed to be proficient with. And then if they want to go to college or trade school or go on to get a career, that they're well prepared for the future.
Would you like to go to Mr. Haley next? Sure. Okay.
For me, the K-12 education helps set the foundation for our students. It gives them the knowledge to continue to grow and to also to think. It also prepares them for their future. One day, this generation of students will be sitting on this stage. We need to make sure they're prepared to sit here. They're also prepared to take on the challenges of the future. So it has to give them the opportunity to grow in their education every day, every week, every year. There should not be any wasted time elements in that process, K through 12.
Those were the one-year candidates. Now for the two-year candidates. And I guess, Mr. Brown, since you're closer to the mic, we'll let you start off with this one.
Well, the way I see K through 12 education is each grade is, excuse me, I'm getting a little too close there. Each grade is getting prepared for the next level of learning. And so you have to have preschool before that to get ready for kindergarten. And this new strategic plan includes indicators at different stages, different benchmarks that will help get those kids ready for the next stage of learning. And that can be anything from once you get into kindergarten, you need to be ready to get into first grade, and from there to middle school and high school and beyond high school. Like everyone else said, it's building blocks, but you have to be prepared for the next level, and you can never stop learning. And we need to teach our kids that and let them help them understand that the education process never stops throughout one's life. And it will help this plan will help them to get there.
The purpose of the K-12 education is, in my opinion, simply to produce positive, productive citizens that contribute to society. It's to teach kids how to communicate with each other and get along and interact, because we live in a global society, a global economy. Our kids today will be competing for jobs someday, not against the kid down the street, but the kid in Japan or Germany. So we need to be able to teach them the necessary skills, and that can take place in K through 12, so that they will be those productive citizens and be able to meet the needs of our society.
Thank you. Our next group of questions come for Wally Kennedy. I believe you'd like to talk to three-year candidates, right?
Exactly. We'll start with you, Mr. DeMont. This question is about school safety. And when I think about this question, I can't help but think about the time when my son was at the Memorial Middle School and there was a shooter who came in there. We've had threats. We've had lockdowns at the schools. We recently have had an alleged rape. Are there any specific steps you would authorize as a school board member to address these safety concerns?
Well, of course. I think that you have to talk to your superintendent and who's your primary employee and develop a plan, kind of like this strategic plan is. I don't know exactly what those steps should be. I'm sure that there are places we can look to as a guide within our community, within our country, as to what other districts have done to protect their students. And if the circumstances indicate that those steps are necessary, we should be prepared to take those steps. So absolutely. I don't know exactly what those would be, but it'd be a conversation that we'd have to have.
School safety is very important. I have twins who were actually at that school when that occurred, and I remember the phone calls that I've got, when that happened. So very much a high concern, for safety. What steps would I authorize? I'd authorize, for us to take a look at it, to gather information, which, that is something the school board is currently doing. So that we need to, and have that data analysis, have that chance to go over that data to figure out what the best plan would be for us going forward. But yes, we do need school safety. It's very, very important.
School safety is the number one priority. You have to have your children safe. They have to be physically and emotionally safe. I was in that building when the gunman was there. It was a frightening moment, and we need to do everything we can to keep our kids safe. There's a lockdown app that perhaps might work. It's been taken in some other places. I'm glad that we have safe rooms now for every single one of our schools, because that's another kind of safety. And there's bullying safety, and we need to improve our behavior. And I believe the 5-year plan has a thing about behavior and changing children's behavior, because it was a student who was the shooter. So we have to be looking at all the ways we can keep our students safe.
I don't want to sound like a broken record, but my daughter was there that day too. And so school safety is extremely important to me. And it's still, she's a senior this year, and it's hard for me to send her off to school some days because I am very aware of these issues. So some of the things that I believe the district can do to improve that is hire more SROs at the high school. Make sure that all of our schools have the locked and buzzered entrances so that we know who's coming into our schools and who's there at all times. We need to train our staff in that response, in quick response, and how to handle that communication, how to handle those situations. We need to make sure that the kids are in class and accounted for at all times. And then a communication tool like the lockdown so that situations can be reported and communicated as quickly and efficiently as possible. So that's, I think, and those are issues for the board.
Thank you. As you can see, we have a wide variety of questions, and as we're approaching we're past the halfway point, but Lisa, you are next, and I believe the one-year candidates who you wish to speak to?
Yes, the one-year candidates. A 2015 state audit report was critical of the board, indicating it was defying the state's sunshine law by not releasing some information that should have been public knowledge. If elected, how do you plan to go about educating yourself on the sunshine law?
Mr. Sloan, would you like to begin for us?
Well, I understand there is a mandatory training for school board, and it's done in the state level. I expect there you learn what is legal and what is not, what are the sunshine laws, et cetera, et cetera. So I plan on attending that if I get on, if I'm voted in. But I think any kind of a public board has a trust of the community, and we have to make sure that as we stated the law, and that everything is above board and very transparent to the community, that they place their trust within us as a board.
Mr. Haley.
As a compliance officer, what I do on a daily basis, it is my job to make sure that we adhere to the laws and regulations that impact how we function. So as a board member, yes, it'd be my duty to get up to speed with every law that impacts how our district functions and operates, and make sure we stay within the boundaries of those laws and make sure we comply with the needs of the state, but also puts the students and the district's best interest at heart.
Thank you. Our panelists are continuing with questions, and Mr. Whelan, I believe you have questions for the two-year candidates?
I do. And we'll begin with Mr. Brown. Do you have any specific changes you would want to make to school district policies, programs, or the various curricula that are offered? And if so, what are those changes and why would you want to make them?
At this time, I don't really have any specific changes that I would like to make. I don't have an agenda. I'm not trying to do anything except ensure that the kids get the best education possible. And it would take some time in studying all the policies to see what was out there now. I haven't had any dealing with any of them that I think have needed change. I'm sure other people feel differently, and I'm sure there are some that do need change. But like I said, at this time, I don't see anything specific that would need changed. And in curriculum, I know that the school board doesn't necessarily set the curriculum, but the one thing I would like to see would be some more, civics classes. Teach kids what our country stands for, how it was created, and start that from the beginning, because a lot of them don't even understand what's going on now.
If I was elected to serve on the school board, I don't have an agenda either, but there are a couple of things that have come to mind with my education background and some things that I would like to see changed just a tad. The standardized testing is a major issue for teachers and students and parents, and I feel like we do way too much of it. So I'd like to, maybe get some input on that so that we can look at revamping how much testing we're subjecting our students to. This may not be a popular idea for a lot of people, but I also think that we need to consider some kind of alternative school, alternative placement for our really severe behavioral children that have a lot of needs, so that we can make sure that we're protecting our other students and staff, but also making sure that we're providing for the needs of those students instead of suspending them from school or expelling them.
Thank you. Wally Kennedy, I have a question, I understand, for all 8 candidates. So we will go through about 4 and let you repeat it. So we can.
Okay, sounds great. We'll start, let's start here with Carlos on the end and just go straight down. Excuse me, Mr. Haley, I'm sorry. I'm a little too familiar there. It's been a rocky year or so for the board, but things seem to be getting better now. What will you do as a member of the board, to build trust, respect, and support between the board and the community?
This is an excellent question, and I think as a board member, I think it is our duty to make sure that we provide the appropriate guidance and oversight for the district and the employees of the district, starting with the superintendent. As a board member, I think we are the voice and the ears of the community. They're the ones that have students. They're the ones that will hire these students in their workforce. They're the ones that will help engage these students, help support these students. For me, most importantly, I think what we have to provide to help build that trust is to be able to listen. We have to be able to hear one another's side and perspectives so we make a full-formed, educated decision on what's best for the district.
Some of the things that I like to do is to ask questions and then to listen. And if you ask questions and people are willing to talk, you can hear a lot of things that will help make a final decision. And so, and I also believe that you go and you talk to staff. You might talk to someone working in a school and say, what is the number one thing that needs to change? But you do that, and you talk to voters, you talk to parents, you talk to some students, and pretty soon you get a pretty good picture of that. And also, I think as we ask questions and we listen, we build trust in the community.
Communication's key, and hopefully we're all doing that right now by taking part in this forum and letting people know what our ideas are. And we have to, a lot of people think that a school board member is someone they can call up and they can take care of any problem at any time that's going on. Their kid got a bad grade or whatever. That's not what the school board is for. The school board's main purpose is to hire a superintendent to carry out the district policy. And they can't micromanage everything, but they can listen. And if they listen to the overall needs of the community and the teachers and the staff, they can get a lot done. We have a lot of great kids in this school system. We have a lot of great teachers, a lot of great staff. And the great ones need to be supported more. And I think by giving them that support, we'll build trust.
Don't cover up my notes. Well, of course, communication is the most important, and you need to make sure that you're available. When a stakeholder comes up to you at Walmart or, gives you a phone call, sends you an email, you need to make sure that you are 100% available to that person at that time and listen to their concerns, take note of them, give them advice on where they can go to get assistance if that's what they need, but also to be a voice for that stakeholder as well and be willing to educate them on what the proper chain of command is. But if they don't feel comfortable doing that, then I don't have a problem with speaking with other board members or speaking with a principal or the superintendent just to share that parent's concern, not to fix it, but just to be a voice for them.
Thank you. Wally, we're halfway through. If you'd like to repeat the question.
Right. For TV viewers, here's the question again. What will you do as a member of the board to build trust, respect, and support between the board and the community?
Well, positive change is always difficult. And we've had some growing pains over the last year, and I think we've come out of it stronger and a better district. We've got this great strategic plan we've been working on and really building on a plan for the district. And so I think that's a positive thing. As a board, I think we need to be open and honest. And part of that is I see as the consent agenda at the meetings. There has been less and less on that agenda. And so that means that we're doing the district's business out in the open, and we're letting people know what's going on and giving them a chance to come and speak to the board and let the board know how they feel about things. So I think we have a common goal, and that common goal is providing a great education for our kids and opportunities for the community through partnerships. And as a board member, I would be an advocate for parents and students and the community as we serve.
I think if we're going to build trust and respect and get support between the community and board, we have to have tremendous communication, and we have to follow that sunshine law that was mentioned earlier. We have to listen, as everyone's been saying, to all the stakeholders. But we, as a board member, we're not supposed to micromanage. We need to hear and have our ears to the ground, but we do need to support the administration that we have chosen and follow that chain of command. I believe if we follow our 5-year plan and the board works together to pull that through, scores will rise, there'll be more respect and support from the community. It'll be a beneficial cycle moving upwards, that everyone will be happier with the schools and the board.
Honestly, we are on the right track towards having that open communication, the level of trust with the community. So what we've got to do to maintain that, we've got to have those open, honest discussions. When we're contacted, we've got to be listeners. We can't change it right at that moment, but we owe whoever it is talking to us about that situation, we owe them the right to hear what they have to say. If we need to take that back, if it's something we need to act upon, that's something that we need to do. And we also need to, those same people that are coming to us, we need to encourage them that we're there for them. And we need to encourage them to also, come to the board meetings, come and see, come and listen what we do. And if your concern's great enough, we do have a point in time that you're allowed to speak. So it's very important that we just be honest and be open and listen to our stakeholders, because that's what they're electing us to do.
Gosh, I can't imagine that we're going to have a problem with trust, respect, or support. I mean, we're all fighting for the same thing. We want the best possible schools that we can have. We want great pay for our teachers. We want a super education for our students, and we want great value for our citizens and our communities. So I just don't perceive that as an obstacle that we really need to be concerned about going forward. I think the key to that has been mentioned before, but in a word, it's about transparency. And if you've got transparency, there's no hidden agenda, and I certainly don't have that, and I hope that none of our other board members or candidates have an agenda, so I just can't imagine that being a significant problem going forward.
Thank you. And Lisa, I believe you have one closing
We
question.
apparently do have time for an extra question. Very quickly, though, we talked about safety as a concern with Wally's question. I'd just like a show of hands if you would support metal detectors, because that's been out there on social media. Just a yes or no. Yes, raise your hands if you would support metal detectors. The public wanted to know. So a final question for the 3-year term candidates. Is the Joplin School District doing enough to identify and remove below standard teachers? And if you start with Ms. Martucci.
So, I'm sorry, your question
Is Joplin School District doing enough to identify and remove substandard teachers?
Yes, there is a teacher evaluation tool, and I believe this somewhat related, Dr. Ritter, his evaluation being out in the open, that's how teachers are evaluated as well, and along the way. And really the idea isn't to get rid of anybody, but is to improve them. Joplin schools should be offering the best education we can, and that's through having and hiring the best teachers that we can. The teacher tenure law helps keep teachers with 5 or more years of experience. So really you're looking at those probationary employees. But if you have a bad tenured teacher, there is a way that you can go through, steps you can go through to remedy that situation too. But it's important to understand that you need to give people the opportunity to improve before you make that cut.
I think that it's not us against them. It's the purpose of an administrator is not to get rid of bad teachers. It's to mentor teachers so that they become better. That's one of the main roles of a principal, is to help teachers get better. There are bad teachers out there, and we do need to get rid of them. We have, as Jennifer said, we have the evaluation, and eventually that might have to happen with people. But I think it's working together, and I think that's one of the great things that is in the new 5-year plan, of that empowerment of giving teachers the flexibility to try things and being held accountable. If they can't do it, then they would need to be let go.
As the other two girls have said, there are things that are put into place through our strategic plan to help us with identifying those substandard teachers. So, my thought on that is it's not fair to them if we're not at least giving them the chance to be a better person, because, we don't know the circumstances of what they're going through. So we need to set with them, identify what is it that has you at this point. And if we can save them, if it's something that we can do, to mentor them, to pull them into the right way and make them standard teachers, then that's, we need to at least give them that chance. But if we've given them that chance and that still does not happen, then, there is a process for to let them go. So.
Is I don't know an okay answer? I'm not going to fire any teachers. I mean, that's not my job. That's the job of our superintendent and his or her staff. So I realized that as a board member, I'd have an opportunity to hear tenured teachers who might have that right to have a hearing, and certainly I do have some experience with employment-related issues, and I'm comfortable in those circumstances, but I hope that I don't have a lot of hearings that I've got to determine whether or not we've got a bunch of bad teachers. I hope that that's somebody else's job, and to the extent I've got to perform it, I think I'm competent to do so.
Thank you. All right, and we now have time for each candidate. You've heard a wide variety of topics tonight, but each person has a chance to, only 30 seconds, but to tell you why they would like you to vote for them for the school board. As you know, we have 3 groups of candidates, the election involving the different seats. So 30 seconds to your chance to speak to the viewers, the voters here in the audience, as well as on television. And I guess we'll start this time with Mr. Haley. Go down that direction.
For me, I'd like your vote because I want to put students first. I want to make sure we're doing everything possible to improve the quality of education they receive. Their future is at stake. I want to make sure that we hold the school board accountable all the way down to the entire district, from the superintendent to the principals to the teachers. Everyone at every level needs to be accountable for the output and the processes that they put in place. That's the most key important thing that we need to have done. And as most importantly, trust, integrity, fiscal responsibility are key ingredients that is needed for our district.
Mr. Sloan.
Well, I just commend everyone on this stage. They're putting their hat in the ring, taking some heat, getting a little nervous in front of everyone, and we're doing this for the community, for no reward, really. And we're doing this for the kids, and we're trying to earn the trust of the community. And everyone here has different gifts and talents that they're ready to put into use, and also to give up a lot of Tuesday nights.
Thank you.
My primary reason for running is I want to serve. I want to help out. I want to serve the students, the teachers, the staff, the parents, the taxpayers. I'm really disappointed, though, in this group up here. It should be about 4 times this big. As much as has gone on in the last couple of years, and as much griping as people in the community have done, and we had 8 candidates for these positions, we should have a lot more people sitting up here, and we need to have a lot of people voting. We only get 4 to 8% of parents voting. We need to have at least 20% so that we can have a serious election about our children's future.
Well, I agree with Chris. I think Joplin is very fortunate because everyone on the stage, I think, would make a great school board candidate. I do believe that I have the knowledge and the experience to make the right decisions for kids. I hope I get the chance to do that. I know that I won't always have all of the answers, but I know how to collaborate with other people. I have common sense. I'm an independent thinker. I can think for myself. I don't have any special interests that are going to be influencing me. So I promise that I will always vote for what is right for kids and our community.
A year ago, I was elected with the promise that I would fight for financial accountability, student success, and teacher support. And I believe I've kept that promise to our students, teachers, and community. I come tonight to ask you for your vote on April 5th for a 3-year seat so that I can continue to move our district forward in that way. Thank you.
You asked earlier what the purpose of K through 12 education is, and it's, yes, to make productive citizens, but it's also to broaden kids' horizons and open new doors. Education is a tremendous gift. It gives people alternatives to other ways of living. I want to be a part of that. I want to be part of bringing that to students, and I think I can do that. Voting is so important, and a lot of people, especially on the local level, don't vote. It impacts your life on a daily level, oftentimes more than a national vote. So I'm asking you to vote for me on April 5th. I'll be a mama bear for Joplin kids.
You know, I started this journey because I have a little one who has no voice, literally has no voice. So, you know, I have to be an advocate for him. You know, I feel like I'll be a positive addition to the school board because I'm an independent thinker. I'm willing to ask questions and gather all the facts. I don't make the snappy decisions. I do know how to say no if the issue at hand is not in the best interest of our stakeholders, which, by the way, we keep saying stakeholders. Stakeholders are our students, our teachers, our parents, and the community. And I'll come to meetings prepared and ready to conduct business. So I appreciate your vote on April 5th.
I want to thank everybody for coming this evening. I want to ask everybody for their vote. I'm a guy that has some experience serving on boards. I'd be honored to serve on the Joplin School Board. My agenda for the board is to find Dr. Ritter's replacement and hold him or her accountable to the strategic plan that I believe will be adopted very shortly. I think we can do that as a board. I'm confident that we will. If you ask my wife, she knows that I will tell you that I do have all the answers. So I hope to contribute as a positive member of our Joplin School Board, and I thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to thank our candidates and our media panel for joining tonight, and hopefully thank the viewers and the people here in the auditorium as well as watching on television, giving you an opportunity to hear from the candidates. As has been mentioned, become an educated voter. April 5th is your chance to vote. Municipal school board election is an important election once again. And I'd like to thank the Joplin Globe for helping coordinate this event, TAMPCO for helping sponsor it. And behind the scenes, you don't see our students, but our Missouri Southern KGCS students who are helping do this program to bring it to you for viewers. If you tuned in late and said, I missed part of it, this program is going to repeat a number of times. It's being recorded, so you'll be able to see it as it's recorded, and we'll try to put it up on YouTube so you can see it there as well. So remember the election date, April 5th, your chance to, as a voter, have a say in the future of our schools, and we thank you for joining tonight. Thank you.